Alright, let's see how quickly I can restore this Philco 623 tombstone cabinet. I've already done some preliminary cleaning and exploring, and I've determined that the worst, most difficult problem to deal with is this front separation here. The sides are formed out of curved plywood, and it's supposed to fit into the front. There's a notch cut all the way around, and the front pushes in and they glue together. And on the inside there's glue blocks to reinforce the two. They're fine on that side, but on this side they're still attached to the side but not the front anymore, and the front is separated away. And to compound matters, it doesn't push on all the way. At first I thought that I just needed to clean out the old joint there and it would push together, but I think this is as far as it ever went. I say that because the glue block makes contact inside. So like up there, when I push the two sides together and that glue block makes solid contact, there's still a bit of a gap. Furthermore, if I look around the traces of the old finish, it looks like there was finish up to about here, and that's where the depth of when I push these together. But clearly it looks like there's a bit of material missing here, and I thought it was just because this wasn't pushed on all the way, but no, there's another issue, which is that I've lost some layers. The plywood is delaminated, so we've lost this layer and an outer layer, so this side should actually be thicker so it would extend further back and cover up this gap here. Now, if this was a really, really valuable radio, I might go out and find some really thin wood and cut it out following this contour and rebuild up the laminations. But this radio isn't that valuable, so what I'm going to do is clean out this groove a little bit more, glue this up, clamp it so it's solid back together, and then fill in this void, I think just with some wood filler, some wood putty, because I'm going to be spraying this whole side and the front trim here with extra dark walnut, which is going to cover up any kind of wood putty and any repairs that I need to do, so I'm not worried about that. If I could just smear some in here to fill in these voids, sand it smooth once it's dried up, I think that'll be fine. I also want to clamp this up, and I think that'll be about it. I'll check around the rest of it. Oh, and a little bit of delamination down here, so a little glue and clamping down there. Otherwise, I think it's in pretty good shape. Of course, I'll take this out, put it away for safekeeping, and strip this down. And it's just curious. I was thinking there wasn't really much of the old finish left, but it still have the decal on here. So I'm gonna try to find some reference photos online. Now, it's entirely possible somebody stripped this down, maybe clear coated it, and then stuck a Philco decal on it some time ago. That's weird. You can clearly see that a lot of the finish is flaked off, but the decal's still here. I'm not quite sure how that came about. And yeah, there's a chip here and there. I'll put in a little walnut wood filler, stain it or something so it doesn't look quite that bad. It's just 1, 2, 3 little nicks here and a little bit of chewing up along the top edge here. Not enough that I would think about re-veneering it or anything like that. I worked glue into that whole damaged side there. I glued it a little bit with water. I used a glue brush to help out with that. And I reinstalled the two glue blocks that had broken loose. And I got a bunch of clamps going. So I'll let this sit for I guess a few hours and then continue on. Alright, I finished gluing and clamping up everything and let it set up overnight. Cabinet's much more solid now. Next thing I want to do is strip off all the remaining traces of finish. To do that, instead of using a commercial stripper, I'm simply going to use this. which is a 50-50 mix of lacquer thinner and acetone and some steel wool, and I'll blot up the residue with some paper towels. I read about this technique a while ago on the Antique Radio forum, and I'm very happy with the results. Much easier and cleaner than bothering with commercial gel type strippers or methyl ethyl chloride or any of that stuff. These old finishes just fall off and melt away so easily. There's no reason to use anything harsher than these basic solvents. I'm not going to do that in here because I don't want to get that stuff splashing around anywhere inside my place. So I'm going to do it outside, and then I'll bring it back in and see how the cabinet turned out. As I hoped, the last remaining traces of the old finish came right off. So you can see the wood grain on the front panel much better now. Also revealed though that this grain is a little more open than I had expected, so I definitely want to fill that in. So I've got my favorite product, good old Constantine paste wood filler and walnut. I'll mix that up, start slopping it on, and fill those pores in. I just finished slopping on the grain filler. Once that dries to a haze, I'll start scraping off the excess with an old credit card. And I've also been repairing this damaged lip here with some wood filler. Once that hardens up a bit more, I'll start sanding off the excess. I've got the grain filled in on the front panel now, and I figured, what the heck, well, I've got the goo out, I might as well brush it on the sides too. Now I'm just waiting for this to dry a bit more, and I'll wipe this off. And then just a little bit more filling in and sanding on this edge here. It's coming along nicely though. And I don't know, I will put a few coats of lacquer sanding sealer on the whole thing, sand it down a little bit, and start putting on the toner lacquer. After the grain filler's set up, I then sanded it lightly with 320 grit sandpaper as they recommend, and I put on a couple coats of lacquer sanding sealer. I think it's starting to look really good. I'll let this cure a bit longer, then sand it out, look for any more imperfections, and if I find any, I will put on some more lacquer sanding sealer to fill them in, and repeat as needed until I get this perfectly smooth, and then I will move on to toner lacquer, and that's where I will pick up in the next video segment.